Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to integrate your AWS S3 bucket with Anstrex so that you can directly upload your landing pages on AWS. For those of you who are not aware of AWS, it stands for Amazon Web Services. They provide a web hosting service for simple HTML pages via their CDN slash storage network, which is also called as S3 slash CloudFront in AWS jargon. The advantages of AWS over a paid VPS or a dedicated server are as follows. Number one, it is a serverless storage and hosting service, therefore it's relatively simple to manage. Number two, it's very cost effective. You only pay for the bandwidth and storage that you use. There is no monthly flat fee. Number three, it's extremely fast at global level and infinitely scalable. It will not buckle under load whether you get 1 million hits or 10 million hits in a day. Finally, most of the new users who have opened their account on AWS for the first time also qualify for a free tier for the first year. The biggest disadvantage of using AWS is that you cannot host websites that require server-side scripts. If you have pages in PHP, you won't be able to use this service. So just keep that in mind. For simple HTML pages with JavaScripts, Amazon S3 would work absolutely well. Having said that, now let's jump into configuring your AWS account so that it can be linked to Anstrex. So the assumption here would be that you already have created an AWS account and gone through the registration and payment process, and that's pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to include that in this tutorial video, and we are going to jump right into the Amazon Management Console, which you can see on your screen right now. The first thing you need to do is create a user that can be linked to the Anstrex platform. The way to create the user is to type the letters IAM in the search field here, which will show you the only option on the drop down, which is labeled as IAM manage user access and encryption keys. You select that and go into the home page of the identity and access management service provided by AWS. What you need to do is click on the users link on the left hand side, and that will take you to a screen where you will see users that you have created in the past. If you are a new user, you probably won't see anything here. So first thing you need to do is click on the add user button, and you can give your give a name to the user here. You can use any name you like. I'm just going to call this user Anstrex, and then you need to select the checkbox here which says programmatic access. After you click on the checkbox, you go to the next screen and then select the option attach existing policies directly. And here you want to type S3, and as soon as you type S3 you will see several options here, and what you want to do is click and select Amazon S3 full access policy, and then go to the next step. Here you are asked to create a key and a value pair. You don't really need to do anything here. You can just ignore this screen and go to the next review section. Now this will just give you a brief review of all the options that you selected through the previous 2 or 3 steps in your wizard. And you just need to review that, and everything looks good here. And so what I'm going to do is click on the Create User button at the bottom of the screen, and now my user has been created. With the user being created, you need following two pieces of information from this screen before you dismiss this screen. The first is the access key ID that you need to copy somewhere. I'm just going to copy it in my notepad here. And the second piece of information you need is the secret access key. Again, I will copy this value into my notepad, which I will need in a few minutes. Please bear in mind that the information that you see here, the access key ID and the secret key, are not stored on Amazon server. This is the only time you will see this information. So it's a good idea to copy and paste these values somewhere in a safe area on your PC. This is for security reasons, and Amazon doesn't want the security to be compromised in any way. So this information is never stored on their server. After creating the user, the next step here is to create a bucket on their S3 storage system. So what you need to do is just click on the AWS logo on the top left corner. That will take you back to the management console screen. And here you just type in S3. That will take you to the S3 management screen here. Okay, so now we are going to create a new bucket in S3. This is the bucket that we'll be using to upload all our landing pages to from Anstrex. So I'm going to click on this blue button, which is labeled as Create Bucket. And the first thing I'm asked is a name for this bucket. I'm at liberty to name whatever I want. However, you have to remember that the bucket names are unique across all the existing buckets in S3. That means no duplicates are allowed across the entire AWS S3 service. So if you use a very common name, most likely it will be rejected. So what I'm going to do is just type in a random string of characters here, long enough so that it just is unique. This name is really not that important for what we are doing, so it's okay to leave it like that. And then I'm going to click on the next button, which will take me to the bucket properties. I'm not going to change anything here on this screen. Just leave it as it is. All the default options are just fine. Then click next again. And here on these public access settings screen, I'm going to uncheck all these checkboxes here. This is an important step. This is for allowing public access to our buckets. If we don't allow public access, your websites won't be visible to an outsider. So this is an important step. Please keep this in mind. Next, we'll just go through the permissions process, and we are just going to leave the things as they are, not making any changes. And then finally, we're just going to go ahead and create a bucket. As you can see here, the bucket has already been created. I'm going to double click on it, and that takes me to the screen which allows me to do settings for this particular bucket. And I'm going to select the permissions tab and then go into bucket policy here. Actually, I'm sorry. What we need to do is go into the access control policy and then select the radio button next to everyone, and then click on the list object checkbox here. This will give you a warning saying that the bucket will have public access, which is fine, which is what you want. And I'm going to go ahead and save this and make sure that I have the permission here for everybody under list objects as set as yes. And you will see a public label right under the access control list. Now, if I were to click on Amazon S3, go back to our bucket list screen, you will see a public label right next to the bucket we created. So now we are all set as far as AWS settings are concerned. And now we are going to go to Anstrex and link this account and bucket to the Anstrex platform. Okay, so now we are back on Anstrex here. We're going to go ahead and log into our account. And then under the username, there is a drop down, and what you're going to do is select Manage Server Accounts option. And then click on this green button, which is labeled as Add a New Account, which will give you a new dialog box. And here you can give a nickname to your account, and this can be anything you want. And I'm just going to call it my S3. And now here I'm going to copy the access key and the secret that we copied from the earlier screens when we created a new user on AWS. So I'm going to copy and paste these two values. In the region, you need to select the region that you had selected earlier, and mine was US East, Northern Virginia, and that's what I'm going to select here, and then do a check. And if the access key and the secret allow me access to the AWS S3 buckets, then I would get a message which says the credentials are valid. And now I have the option to select the bucket I want to upload the data to the server. And I'm going to select the bucket that we created a few minutes ago, and then I'm going to hit Save button. And once you save it, your account is saved. You can close that dialog box and you will see your account listed right here. And you have the option to edit or delete it if you wish to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and close this, and that's it. We are done with this step. Now our AWS S3 account is linked with Anstrex. And in one of the other videos, I have explained how to use that to upload all your landing pages directly onto AWS without the need to download it locally on your PC. So in conclusion, let's just review the steps here very quickly. First step is to create an AWS account if you don't have one. Next, create a user with full read and write permissions to the S3 service and copy the credentials on your computer. Then create a new bucket and grant public access to that bucket. And finally, link that AWS user account to Anstrex using the credentials you had copied, and so that Anstrex can upload your landing pages directly to the bucket. Before I end this video, I want to mention that there is one additional step that is totally optional, but will greatly improve your delivery speed and allow you to create URLs with custom domains. And I have a separate video for that step, and the link for that video is currently on your screen. I will see you again very soon with another tutorial. Until then, cheers.